Welcome to another episode of Slay with me, Leigh Clark. I am here today with Ashley Bedford from Central Florida, who's part of our Slaying Orlando book. I'm so excited to have her on the show. Not only is she like the top 1% in the Scotsman guide for mortgage brokers, which is like an insane stat to have, but she's also 10 been in the business 10 years, mortgage broker of the year by the National Association of Mortgage Brokers, as well as five-star professional 5 years in a row.
Yeah.
So like that's also a big deal. Anybody who doesn't know what five-star is, it's basically consumer reports, just like standard Nielsen or things like that. So to have that five-star professional 5 years in a row is a huge testament to how you serve the community and your clients. She's also the mother of two girls, 19 and 12. And I know she and her husband are very, very like faithful and in the church and things like that. So happy to have you on the show today, Ashley. Thank you for being a part of Slay the USA, and I'm excited to start asking you some questions.
And thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here and I'm really excited for the opportunity.
Yeah, I actually just got to see Ashley a little while ago. We had the Slaying Orlando brunch, and offline we were just remarking about, the power of the connections that we meet and just how important it is to be very authentic about your storytelling. I know that you like do a lot of content online, so how comfortable were you with sharing your story vulnerably, not only just in the book, but generally sharing more of yourself online?
I always say mortgages are really clean, like easy. I can tie a little red bow around them. They're black and white. And so I'm so comfortable in that. But when it comes to being vulnerable, I think that it's really hard. But I also think that it's really important because so many people think they see you from the exterior and especially on social media and they think, oh, she's perfect. She's got this family, but they don't really know where you came from or the roots that grew that tree and how that fruit develops. And so sharing that with other people has been really important to me, even when it feels uncomfortable, because everybody's got their story, but they're still all looking at you and you're like, okay. But I've always been a person that we all have a hard journey, but it's what we deal with it on the other side too.
Yeah, and do you feel like I know you guys are big in the church, and do you have a fellowship, and does that bring out you sharing more like authentically and vulnerably?
Yeah, so I years ago I worked for my best friend's parents. They owned a copier company and they started a ministry called Fairville Ministries, which is an area near us. And it was for impoverished kids and things like that. And so many of them feel like they're a product of where they came from and they can't get out of that. So I started help volunteering there and having that fellowship in there. And then also I'm on the board of Foster Youth of America because I actually was in group homes at one point of my life. And so giving back and reminding them that, hey, you can go forward. There's more out there. Like there's bigger things and it doesn't matter if you start with nothing. So I think sharing that story and my faith and how God brought me there is so important. Not just for me to share that, but just to give back to others. So hopefully something sparks in them. And they're like, okay, I can do this too.
Yeah, and I know in your story there's that arc of like what you overcame to become successful. Can you like fill other people in a little bit about that part of your life?
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like I had a pretty normal childhood until I was about 9. And then my parents split up and it just splintered, And I don't think my mom really knew how to mom. And so at 13, I ended up being by myself and going group homes, other places, and then finally ending up at my grandparents. And not really having a home, which I talk about in my story too. It was a place, a shelter, but not really that loving home that you look for. And I was only allowed to go to church. That's the only place they would let me go. So I went hard. And thankfully, because that carried me through when I felt like despair and felt like I was never getting out of here. I was never going to make anything of myself. And then I met my husband through a mutual friend. I had never seen him and I hopped on a plane when I was 18 and flew here. Having a 19-year-old, that actually sounds horrible. Okay. Like, please don't follow in my footsteps.
Yeah.
Um, she always says that he could have been a 40-year-old in the basement. And I'm like, well, good thing Florida doesn't have basements. So we were safe. And
Right.
here we are 21 years later. But I rode my bike for a year when I got here because I knew I had to make it. Like there wasn't a plan B. So I've lived my life like that. There's never a plan B. Like if you're going for the plan A, you just have to continue to the plan A. And so I think that so many successful people find that as well. So
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's the thing is like people think, oh, well, I'll manifest something or I'm just going to want this. Like you have to take constant action towards
yeah.
that. You have to act like, as if there's nothing in the world that will stop you from like achieving that goal. I know, I always tell this story about this girl in Boston, Sarah, Noel Saint, and she wanted to be a content creator so badly, but her parents were like kind of against it. And she was like, I couldn't talk to my parents for a while because I like couldn't they could, and I was like, how powerful is that? Like, obviously, you want her to have a relationship with her parents, and she does now, but that she was like so hell bent on her dream and like making it that like she couldn't hear external noise that wasn't supportive of that. How is it for you? Like, I mean, your career has changed so much in the last 10 years. Obviously, your like level of badassery, if you will. So how has that changed? Like, how has your life changed from the bicycle to where you're at today?
So I didn't even really know what a mortgage broker was when I first heard of the word. Like I'd worked in banking for years and worked for my friend's copier company. I had a college degree and I'm thinking, God, I'm making $16 an hour and I have a $70,000 a year degree. Like, what are we doing here? How are we going to make it out of this? And I had called a rather large named lender um, with a ship, you might see those online. So and they told me at 24 years old that I needed $24,000 to buy a house. And I thought, well, or $30,000 at 24. And I thought, well, how is that? How am I going to do that? Right. I have my second kid on the way. How am I going to come up with 30,000? And a mortgage broker actually helped me get into a house for 13,000. I sold my first car that I had bought for half of that money, literally laid out in the DMV parking lot cash because cash is a bad 4-letter word in this industry. And so I could verify the cash, had the DMV lady sign a receipt for me right there. And then from that point, I realized how housing changes people's lives. It changes generational wealth. Nothing increases in value quicker than houses. And I know a lot of people sit around and wait. They're like, oh, 2006 to 2008 is going to happen again. It's not going to happen. Okay. That was a total different world. And just seeing the stability that it offers, like when you get in a financial situation, being able to tap into your equity, being able to leave something to your kids, being able to give you that strong foundation of where you're at. And I've always led by heart in this industry, which I think is great because a lot of people don't. Because yes, you can make a lot of money in this industry, but I never one person told me if you ever chase a paycheck, you might as well chase your way out of the job. So there's things I've done for free because it was what was right to do, right? Like it was
Right.
right to do. Like that person needed to be in a house. So seeing the single moms get a house, seeing teachers get a house that never thought they would, seeing grandparents buy a house at 50, 60 years old and they thought they would never own a house and they were first generation to our country. And so those kind of things just keep driving me. And I love that I've been able to grow and grow on social media so that more people can get that yes, because so many people say no. And I always say, I never say no. I just tell you how we're going to get there. And you might tell yourself no.
Yeah, and I think you tapped into something so important, which is the mindset that homeownership provides. Having both been a renter and a homeowner, and I'm currently both. I'm renting
Yeah.
one place and owning another. We're now talking about building someday, and we just had a conversation about the mindset where it's like you have assets, you have things that belong to you, your feeling of safety, your feeling of pride. That carries into your everyday conversations. That carries into your confidence. That carries into your ability to close that deal, that to ask for that raise, to push for that promotion, because you know that you have it, you have that stability. So it isn't just a like, it's not just a tangible thing. It's not a purse, it's not a car, it's not, and even those,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll make the same argument for that. You buy the thing that really means something to you that you worked for and you focused on. You
Yeah.
wake up every day in that house, you're going to feel proud of yourself. And that self pride is what negates, self-loathing,
Yeah.
which is what most people have like a little bit suffering from. So it is,
Yeah.
it's almost like a chicken and egg scenario, but like I said, I've been in both. And now it's like to think about to build and to put down roots is really great. So have you dealt with both like new construction stuff projects and how do those differ?
Yeah. So, one-time construction, I do a lot of, that's where the person finances it. You don't just go to a big builder. Um, and those are great because people can customize. Definitely harder, like for clients, it's more paperwork up front, but on the back end, it's easy, smooth, and you get to pick all of your own finishes. Um, and especially for veterans can build a $4 million house if they want to and walk in with zero money, which is amazing to me because
That's
it's the best
crazy.
loan for the best people, right? Um,
Yeah.
and so that's I love being able to help veterans and show them that they can do those type of things. Um, and yeah, I do a lot of resale. Obviously, that's a big portion of my business, is resale. And so I just love being able to help get people into houses and check in on them on their house anniversaries because I'm big on relationships. Most people in my industry loved the COVID times because listen, you could breathe and close a deal. But for me, I hated it because it was so transactional and I want to help like the third generation. Like I want to help the kids and the grandkids and all the things. So I think that's more important to me than anything.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned that like a couple times in conversations that we had about like you're not going to put somebody into something they can't afford just to get a deal
Yeah.
done, but you are saying what are you willing to do? Like you rode your bike and you use that as an example. Like
Yeah.
if you want it bad enough, here's the strategy to get you there. It's going to require this side hustle or that or this or whatever in
Yeah.
order to make that happen. But that is like a rarity to have somebody who's more invested in the outcome for the client than the outcome for the transaction, to your point.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you see both within your industry? For sure, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. And I
Yeah.
save a lot of deals for people that honestly just they don't pay attention up front. Like I have a lot of clients that call me, well, why can't you give me a pre-approval without credit? Why can't you give it to me without documents? Because I would rather die before risk my reputation, first of all, because your reputation is everything. And that's why I'm the mortgage magician, because I make things happen. And it's just a lot of people can't see the puzzle. Like they don't see the bigger picture, or they misguided something. And these are people's lives we're talking about. We're not just talking about the buyer, we're talking about the seller, the realtors. Like this is their job too. They've driven people to 100 houses and they're relying that your letter is going to be good. And unfortunately, we have a lot of LOs out there. I actually say that you should have to apprentice for 2 years before you get into this business. You shouldn't be able to just
Agree.
walk in. You're dealing with people's one of their large, unless they're buying a helicopter, this is the largest financial decision they'll ever make. And so
Yeah. A lot of untrained
let's
people
train like
throughout
that.
the industry. But even beyond that, and I want to talk a little bit about your daughters too, because they're of that age.
Yeah.
I think all kids should have to intern at their chosen career because
Yeah.
here everyone wanted to be a doctor and lawyer, like because they thought the lifestyle was there, but then didn't realize they'd be on call every holiday and weekend. Like we don't really understand the day to day, the quality of life in around
The
the position.
dynamics. Yeah.
So how are you instilling that in your daughters? Like, how do they see you hustle? Like, what are they aspiring to do right now?
They definitely do not want to do this. So my oldest daughter wants to be a nurse. They say that I'm on my phone entirely too much. Um, I'm a people pleaser at heart, so I do answer my phone. Like that's a big thing in this industry, especially. Um, and so, and then my youngest daughter, she's all in equestrian right now, but she's 12, so I'm sure she'll change her mind over the time.
She's like all into being equestrian, you said?
Yes, yeah. So she
Oh,
wants to be
okay.
an Olympic equestrian. So,
And
yeah,
she's
that's
doing
her
all the
dream.
jumping and the
Oh
riding and
yeah,
everything.
yeah. She has
I
all
don't
the
know if
English
you talked to
speaking.
Bree at all, not to take a sideline conversation for
Yeah.
listeners, but her daughter also in horseback
Oh,
riding.
oh
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. We messaged about that. Yeah, actually. Yeah,
Yeah. And what does your
yeah.
tattoo say?
Oh, it says favor because my youngest daughter's name's Hannah and it means God's favor. So favor is written in a cross.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I've also seen the one that's like faith over fear. And I
Yeah.
think we talked about that at the brunch, and I want to bring that up too. Like someone stated it, I think it was Ansley Highland of Dorme, who stated like, she said, I think the meaning of life is to like overcome your fear on the path to love
Yes,
in
that is exactly what she
everything.
said.
And so profound to say it that way because you think of that, oh, like getting over fear to find the love, like the partnership love, but what about the employment love? Like what about the really loving what you do for a living and having that be like, instead of being afraid of getting fired or afraid of like this Bob yelling at you, like I had enough Bobs in my life, right, career
Yeah.
wise, like I don't. So, I mean, what is it like being your own boss, and how is it being like a leader? Because you have other people that you lead and
I do.
mentor as well. So, what's that like?
Yeah, and everybody on my team has requested to be on my team. I haven't recruited anybody. They've called me, like Carolina on my team. She actually saw me in a different magazine article that I was in, and she slid into my DMs. We always joke about that. And I never told her she had to come or anything to here. Like I told her I would mentor her regardless, because I think men have instilled, and sorry, men, but you've instilled that this everything's a competition because that's just how men are. Men love to compete. That's how they're built, and that's okay. But we can collaborate too. Like there's
Correct.
enough you can turn the corner and there's a realtor at every single step of the way. Like, we're going to be okay. Like, there's enough business out there for all of us. Like, not one person could do every loan that happens in Florida every single day. Right. Um,
Right.
and not everybody's fit for that person. So she came from there. And then Jenna on my team came from cross country mortgage. I was unfortunately getting a lot of her deals from her realtor. And I'm like, just tell her to call me. And so she came over, and then I have another girl, Gabby, on my team who came from another bank where their rates weren't as good. So they came over. And then another girl, Crystal. So it took me a bit. I always told myself I wasn't a good leader. And I think there's power in words. And so
Yes.
I changed that mindset immediately because I always said, oh, I'm not a good leader. I'm not a good boss. I can't help them. Like, and I had to change that mindset immediately because I was poisoning myself with that mindset.
That's
So
100% true. And I believe that about limiting
yeah.
beliefs. I believe that about like limiting beliefs. Like we're driving around looking like at lots and stuff, and you're like, oh my God, so many people have like these mega mansions.
Yeah.
And I know like generationally I would hear, oh, well, that's because they have trust funds, or oh, that's because, and I'm like, it's really not.
Yeah.
I think that's what we tell ourselves so we don't have to like go and do the work. But a lot of
Yeah.
people made money real estate transaction by real estate transaction. They built it, they bought a franchise, they bought a vending machine, they did the scrappy stuff. And now with AI, we have no excuses. By the way, there's like zero excuses left
Zero.
for why we can't do anything. You could be
Yeah.
like, oh, I want to manufacture widgets in Bangladesh, and the next thing you know, like, hey, how do I manufacture widgets in Bangladesh?
Yeah.
Anything is really possible. So I mean, that's a little bit of magic too. How's it been for you in your career, like tapping into that sense of like you can design the life you love, and what does the life that you design look like?
So that's funny that you asked that because I'm actually on another nonprofit and Still She Stands. And I'm not sure if you saw my story and that's why you said it, but our whole theme this year is designing your life. Like, so we actually have a brunch with local women in adversity, and we try to get younger people and older people. And I just talked about designing my life and how it means who's in my life, the energy I allow in my life. I used to be like, everybody's my friend. And now I'm like, oop, pump the brakes because I'm like the golden retriever, right?
Mhm, mhm.
But I had to like, oop, we're now the service dog. Like, don't pet me, like,
Right.
and so I really just think it's who you allow in your energy, the things that you say to yourself, the time. I'm still working on time because I'm an overachiever for sure. Um, but I think just really designing what you want your days to look like and what you're going to be a part of.
Yeah, and then deciding what the narrative is. Like if you think whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're
Yeah.
right. And like if you
Yeah.
think there's room that you're gonna fail, if you think you're like not gonna be seen, not gonna get whatever like you're looking for, like that's absolutely a possibility. And I think mindset really is everything. And we do, and I said this at the brunch, I'll say it again. I think from this project, I've learned very much that we write our own story. When women, I
100%.
interview them for this project, they'll tell you who the victim is, they'll tell you who the hero is, they'll tell you what, whether or not they overcame or they're overcoming. And I think it's really important to own that narrative. Also, to what you said about people pleasing, I am in people pleasing recovery myself.
Yeah.
But hard and fast. I think when I realized that people pleasing is manipulative,
Mhm.
it was a dead stop for me. It was like a
Yeah.
full stop on that because I never want to be disingenuous, and I never want to be like unauthentic. And so if
Yeah.
I'm doing what I want someone to do and like making myself uncomfortable to make someone comfortable, then I'm not being genuine. I'm being like fake, and that fake doesn't work for me. So it's like, how do you draw boundaries? Boundaries are really hard too, because once you
Yeah.
start setting them, you realize how many people don't care. And you're like, oh God, I should filter you out, right? Like you said about the
Yeah.
golden retriever versus service dog thing. Like,
Yeah.
turns out like this boundary thing, I just like said it and you don't care, and I said it and you don't care. You're not really my people. Like you don't really care about what's best for me.
Well, and you start to see the people that call you back, like, or the people that were just there for what you were giving them. And, I had a lot of that in my life, especially growing up with not a lot. I love to give experiences and I love to have my friends along with me for my experiences. And so starting to see, oh, okay, well, maybe they just really don't, they were there for the experience and not for who I am. Because when I'm your friend, I'm all in your friend. Like
That
that's who
part.
I am. Yeah. I'm going to
That
show up
part.
even like in the dirty times. Like I'm going to be
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And I think that that's an important thing to talk about is the death of friendships that happens. It sucks and it's sad and it does happen. And the
Mhm.
way it happens for anybody who's still coming up and thinks they're going to have their friends forever and ever and ever. Amen. If you can.
Yeah.
One, you evolve at different rates, right? But
Yeah.
go through some really hard life shit and then watch who is all still standing and cares and calls and wants to be there for you. It will happen. It will be sad, but you are being blessed by seeing who's for you and who is not for you. And that allows you to preserve that energy, and it
And
allows you to see somebody who's really about you. When we ask for what we need, we see who's willing to give that to us, and we can surround ourselves accordingly. But
or
I
who
think it's
even
important.
asked you for it? That's a big
Yeah,
thing too.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I always say, like, you can't consider somebody inconsiderate unless you ask them to consider it. But
Mhm.
once your needs are being considered, hopefully you don't have to ask at all. Hopefully you're around people who just, like, do the right thing or know how to like, their act right's not broken. But I think the death of friendships is definitely something I've experienced. It's sad,
Yeah.
it's hard, but not everybody's meant to go all the way with you. And when you clear those people out, women like yourself came forward. Like, my table is so full, because to your point earlier about managing energy, even in nature, we cut back things so they can grow. We have to prune, we have to tend our
Yes.
garden in our life. Our life is our garden, and so being okay with, like, detaching from people, I think that's so important. How is that, like, how have you handled that transition?
I've lost some big friendships in my life. But I am who I am today because of that, for who they were in the season. And so thankful for who they were in the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you outgrow people because you're willing to grow yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really big. And not all everybody wants to grow with you, right? And so
Yeah.
just like you said, like you've got to prune back the dead to grow bigger,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And
Yeah.
it's just, I think that's the most important lesson, and being okay with it. Like one of my very best friends is still from the ninth grade. Her and I, ride or
Mm-hmm.
die, let's go, you know?
Right.
Um, but some of my friends are most recent from my 30s, and all the people I thought that it would be my friends along the way, like they were just there for the things. Or, unfortunately, when you grow, envy becomes a thing too. And
Yeah. Sad.
but what and
Boo.
it really is, like I always say, it's a lonely place at the
Boo.
top. Like it really is a lonely
It
place
does.
at the
It
top.
happens, and like you said before, collaboration over competition. But the jealousy thing,
Absolutely.
I'm not a jealous person. I don't get it. I don't
Yeah.
understand. I want to see everybody, like, succeeding, and I
Yeah.
think also, making peace with where people fall in your life. But I will say this, like, I think that I've attracted people to my life that love me at the level I've loved myself.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, right? Even in friendships, I remember my brother's ex-wife saying to one of to me about one of my friends, "Why do you hang out with her? She's, like, so mean to you all the time." I didn't notice because her voice sounded like my voice, which was criticizing myself. So
Yeah.
she was criticizing me too, and that was fine because she was agreeing with me. And,
Yeah.
like, as I've, learned that I'm my own best friend, I have to, like, put my air mask on first or whatever, and really just, like, accepted and loved myself fully, flaws and all,
Yeah.
then now I have a partner who loves me exactly as I am, because like attracts like. So sometimes even the pruning of those friendships are people who maybe were at that vibrational level with you. Not to sound like too crunchy, but, like, let's
No.
say you used to be a 6 or a 7 mentally, like half the time you beat yourself up, half the time you were like, hey, I'm okay. Your friends probably acted the same way. They probably talk crap about you, all the things. And then when you don't feel that way, you don't surround yourself with people who would even speak that way upon you.
I don't know if you follow Cody Sanchez at all, but she's a big like
I love
business
her.
person that I follow. And she said the other day, she said the people that I take advice from have already been past me, and they don't talk about people, they talk about businesses. And I don't want to be around anything but that. Like I want to grow. We all want to grow. Like let's go, go, go. Like everybody,
Yeah.
even at the brunch, like I loved is like how can I help you grow? Like what can
That
I
part.
yeah.
Yeah. And I always
So
ask people about followers, like, what do you want them for? What do you want them to do for you? What is the point? If you're pouring into them, and I see you do this
mhm,
on your feed, and I will
mhm,
say that's one of the ways I select women, just to give the, like, listeners an idea. The first thing is I look for women who are of service. So I
yeah.
don't want to see a news feed that's all about you. I want to see you pouring into others and, like, helping educate them from your little corner of influence in the world, like we all have. Like,
Yeah.
are you doing your part to be a good citizen? And I think that that's great that you you show up very, very authentically. You don't try to be perfect. You don't try to be over like rehearsed. You don't rehearse. You're just natural. But also, I think you make room for other people to feel seen in that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like your humility, your humbleness, your ability to like share your vulnerable stories of like where you've come from and how far you've come is endearing. So like, do you feel like really connected to people in that way once you find like-minded individuals?
I do. I do have to be careful because I am an empath, like so I feel hard and deep and I fall fast because I'm an Aquarius, so I'm loyal. I'll go down with the ship. Okay. So, but that's something that through therapy and through life coaching and things like that I've really become aware of and like, okay, you're going too deep, Ashley. This person's an acquaintance, not a friend. But I love pouring into people and giving truthful information because, especially in this industry, you have a lot of people. Oh, guess what? You can get rates in the fives this week. Like, but not giving the truth. Like, stop. Like, you're just
Mhm.
like a sleazy used car salesman, right?
Right.
I think that's one thing I like about social media. Listen, I never thought at almost 40 I'd be like a 16-year-old out here posting like social media trends. Like, when did this happen? I didn't even have Google when I went through college or high school, you know?
Right.
And so, but I do love giving back. I think it's really important. One thing, like, I don't agree with a lot of things Dave Ramsey says, but the one thing he says is like, be blessed to be a blessing. And I just always
Yes.
want to be able to be a blessing. Like,
Yeah.
my 19-year
Well,
old, like she's really good about that and has been since she was little. Like she never looks at it. Like she'll literally, one day she gave her whole Stanley to the homeless person. I'm like, but you gave him the whole Stanley. Could you carry some water bottles next time? You know, like,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
someone
But to
should
be
give
that
like that
way,
though, in the heart of a child. Yeah.
yeah, to have that kind of heart and talk about that a little bit, giving back. I know we're kind of like at time, but I really want to hear a little bit about that part, the philanthropy and the things that you're doing to make an impact.
Yeah. So I only do charities locally. Because I want to see the impact right where I'm at. Like I want when people donate to see right where I'm at. And so a friend of mine had invited me to a charity, and Still She Stands, which brings women who've been through any adversity because so many times we think that, oh, well, they've been through bigger adversity, so my adversity doesn't really matter, but your adversity does matter. And so mentoring like 18 to 75, like just
Yeah.
connecting on your adversity and your differences in life without being like overly judgmental about it or anything, a safe space. And again, like I said, it's designing your life. And then my heart charity, which is Foster Youth of America, we help aged out and about to be aged out foster children once they graduate high school, they get PES in Florida, which basically gives them money to get housing, but they give them nothing else, nothing, like not a plastic piece of furniture. They have a garbage bag with stuff like their stuff in it, and that's it. So we help locally get people to donate their furniture. We work with a few other charities to deliver furniture, and we raise money for that. So um, only 4%, I think it's 3 or 4%, of aged out foster kids get their bachelor's degree. And we have a girl right now that's in law school. So she's already got her bachelor's,
Amazing.
she's in law school. And so that's really, really big. So we raise money to get her school books paid for. So it's just seeing these rewarding stories. We have a kid that's a chef at Universal. He finished chef school. And so it's really rewarding to see. And listen, I'll be honest, like 50% fail. So even when
Yeah.
I help them. And it's just because you're always going to use your story to either be a victim and say that you can stay
Mhm.
in that story or to go forward. So
Yep.
it's a choice.
It is a choice, and you live with the outcome. And sometimes
Mhm.
when you're young, you have to squander some opportunities to realize what you
Yeah.
missed. And that's an
Yeah.
unfortunate part of life. But back to the whole detachment thing, like you do
Yeah.
the thing and then you detach yourself from the outcome because that's their journey and
Yeah.
how but I will say, like, one of the most painful things too is to see somebody block their blessings.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it's awful. It's awful when
Awful.
you meet somebody with an opportunity and they think it's a scam. It's like sad. You're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I really wanted to help you. And when
Yeah.
you see somebody, who's like not seeing the generosity, the love, like that's really hard to watch people like block their blessings. But luckily in your field, you get to be a part of so many
Yeah.
people's blessing. Do you have the stat on how many transactions you've done over the years? Do you know?
So my processor is really good at numbers, but if I had to guess, I'd probably have done 10 years, three, just over 1,000 families
Amazing. That's
purchases, not even
amazing.
including refis. So, I barely keep track of my numbers. My processor actually laughs and he's like, "What do you mean you don't know how many deals you close?" I'm like, "Because that's not my focus. My
But you're not
focus,
competitive, and I get that.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's it's so so important. Well, if you need anything from lending or just lending her mentorship
advice, yeah."
about entrepreneurship, definitely check out her page and everything else because there's just like a lot of love coming from you to the world. And
Yeah.
anybody who gets to kind of like see that in their feed, you're a real bright spot in everyone's life, my life especially. Tell the people how to find you. Where do they find you?
Ashley the Mortgage Magician, and then all of my link tree and everything is there. So Ashley the Mortgage Magician on Instagram.
And you do all of Florida, right? Because like I'm saying,
I
I
do
know you
all of
do
Florida,
construction loans.
Texas, like I do a lot of
Tell me
other
all the states or most of?
Florida, Texas, Tennessee, South Carolina, Colorado, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, and South Carolina. South Carolina.
Yeah. So if you
Oh,
heard
and
your
Georgia.
state,
Georgia.
okay. So if you heard your state, a lot of Southeast
Yeah.
there and then beyond, but definitely reach out to Ashley. And like I said, your feed's full of like great information. Thanks
Yeah.
for being here today. And I'm so excited for your chapter to come
Thank
out
you
and play
so
in
much for having
Orlando.
me.
And hopefully you'll come back and see us again.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you
stay
for
on
having
with
me.
me. I'm going to say goodbye to everyone else.
Okay.
Bye, guys.